Picture a man at the crossroads of life, still tethered to his childhood home at the age of 35. Jobless and perhaps indulging too frequently in spirits, his days unfold one after another with little change. Amidst this seemingly stagnant existence, he turns to a dating app, hoping to spark a connection that could ignite a brighter chapter. After weeks of digital introductions, he finds himself sitting across from a potential partner at a local eatery. The evening is filled with light conversation and tentative smiles. Yet when the inevitable question arises, "So what do you do?" the mood subtly shifts. Despite a delightful evening, the prospect of a second date evaporates. Later, queried by her friends, the woman explains, "He's kind and not without charm, but I've resolved to change the type of people I date." Certainly, there's no fault in selecting who to date. Everyone has the right to choose partners that align with their preferences. The story above illustrates a broader social commentary, where the term loser is wielded as a label in contemporary discourse. In many cultures today, to be dubbed a loser is to be deemed worthy of scorn and derision. It is seen as a personal failing, a self-inflicted wound. Yet if we pause to reflect, labeling someone as a loser seems remarkably reductionist. What exactly has this individual lost? How do we define failure, and how much of this failure is truly within one's control? Moreover, why is there a need to mock those who don't adhere to certain societal benchmarks? In essence, why has the label loser become such a stigmatized identity? No one aspires to be seen as a loser. However, the prevailing fear of this label in today's society means that inevitably, many will be categorized as such, whether they deserve it or not. In our previous exploration, Be a Loser If Need Be, we delved into the Stoic perspective on being perceived as a loser, a concept that isn't inherently negative. Today, we shift our focus to the irrationality of derogatorily labeling individuals as losers and discuss how one might embrace being a happy loser. The term loser originates from the verb to lose, denoting someone who loses or has lost. In Dutch, the equivalent is verliezer, signifying someone who has experienced loss, akin to a team defeated in a soccer game. The French perdant shares a similar meaning, yet in English, loser has evolved to encapsulate more than just defeat. An opinion piece in the Prince George Citizen insightfully comments on this transformation. When used as originally intended, loser is merely a part of life's ebb and flow. You win some, you lose some, and losing doesn't define us. But the term has morphed into a pejorative, carelessly flung as an insult. Don't be such a loser. You're a real loser, or a born loser. This linguistic shift reflects a broader societal tendency to not only acknowledge defeat, but to use it as a tool for belittlement. The application of the term loser is widespread and varied, reflecting a multitude of scenarios that fall short of societal expectations. Being labeled a loser can result from not meeting the minimal benchmarks of perceived success, grappling with addiction, lacking conventional attractiveness, or not engaging in sexual relationships. Beyond personal circumstances, the term is also politicized and used to denigrate opponents in various arenas, including those who suffer in conflicts, as seen in political and military contexts. An article in Salon titled "America's Biggest Divide: Winners and Losers" delves into this sharp division within American society. It states America is deeply divided between those who are considered and consider themselves winners and those who are deemed by the winners to be losers. This delineation not only highlights a societal obsession with winning, but also underscores the harsh judgments cast upon those who do not fit the winner mold. This dichotomy fosters a culture where self-worth is often measured by external success, magnifying the impact of such labels. Neil Gabler delves deep into the societal rift in his writings, suggesting that the division between winners and losers might eclipse other traditional divides such as race, religion, politics, or economics. He poignantly compares America's losers to cultural outcasts, akin to India's untouchables, highlighting the severe social stigma attached to this label. Gabler's perspective raises a provocative question. In a society that values success so highly, who would choose to associate with, much less form a romantic connection with, someone branded as a loser? This reflects a harsh reality where the label of loser can profoundly affect one's social interactions and personal relationships, influencing how individuals are perceived and treated in various aspects of life. While it's true that we possess the power of choice to rise early, to exercise, or to pursue certain paths, this perspective does not entirely capture the complexity of life. The narrative that our lives are solely the outcome of our choices overlooks the significant role of external circumstances. The widespread belief labels one a loser based on the assumption of insufficient effort, suggesting that any undesirable situation is a direct result of personal failure. This viewpoint holds individuals entirely responsible for their plight, embedded in the notion of loserdom. However, this approach neglects the concept of fate, an idea that the ancient Stoics emphasized heavily. They believed that while we control our actions and responses, many aspects of our lives, health, wealth, fame, and power, are beyond our direct control. These are not attainable through sheer will or choice. The Stoics taught that our domain is our attitudes, opinions, goals, and desires, elements that we can shape. Understanding this distinction is crucial for recognizing that not all aspects of one's state, including being perceived as a loser, are self-determined. This Stoic wisdom encourages a more compassionate view towards those struggling with life's challenges, recognizing the blend of choice and circumstance that shapes our existence. Indeed, as the Stoic philosopher Epictetus noted, while we have the capacity to make choices, the vast landscape of decisions that shape our lives is often dictated by circumstances beyond our control. Our choices do influence our paths, and unwise decisions can certainly lead to undesirable outcomes. Yet these effects are not uniformly experienced by everyone due to varying personal situations. This perspective is supported by the work of humanistic psychologist Scott Barry Kaufman, who has extensively studied the psychological traits that foster achievement and creativity. In a piece for Scientific American, Kaufman highlights the substantial role of luck in determining life success, a factor often underestimated by many. Talent, while undeniably important, is just one of many elements contributing to one's success. External factors such as the country of residence, the distribution of wealth within that society, the cultural or societal weight of one's name, and even seemingly arbitrary details like the month of birth can significantly influence one's opportunities and achievements. Kaufman's insights underscore a more nuanced understanding of success, one that acknowledges the interplay between individual efforts and the broader, often unpredictable forces of luck and circumstance. This approach not only broadens our comprehension of how achievements are reached, but also fosters a more empathetic view towards those who struggle despite their efforts, challenging the simplistic label of loser. Scott Barry Kaufman's research compellingly highlights the critical role of luck in determining success as presented in his findings. The data he discusses reveals a somewhat counterintuitive truth about talent and success. It's not always the most talented individuals who reach the highest levels of achievement. Instead, a confluence of fortunate circumstances can propel even those of moderate talent to great heights. Kaufman's analysis shows that talent alone is insufficient for success. In fact, the most successful individuals often aren't those with the highest talent, but rather those who experience a sequence of favorable events. This observation challenges the common assumption that hard work and talent are the primary determinants of success. Instead, it suggests that mediocre but lucky individuals can achieve more than more talented but unlucky ones, simply due to the opportunities that luck presents. This insight is crucial for understanding the dynamics of success and failure in modern society. It underscores the randomness of success and raises important questions about meritocracy and fairness. By acknowledging the significant influence of luck, we can foster a more inclusive and compassionate view of individuals' varying life outcomes, moving away from simplistic and judgmental labels such as loser. Indeed, much of our life's framework, the conditions into which we are born, is beyond our control. We do not choose our country of birth, our parents, our innate intelligence, or our physical appearance. Neither do we have a say in the familial environment that shapes our early years, nor in the genetic predispositions we inherit, which may influence everything from health issues to susceptibility to addiction. In this sense, life is less about making choices from a vast array of options and more about navigating the circumstances handed to us by fate. Fortune indeed deals the cards, and for many, the hand is far from favorable. When the odds are stacked so heavily against someone from the start, the traditional metrics of success and societal expectations can be extraordinarily difficult, if not impossible, to meet. Despite the best strategies or the hardest work, the outcomes can still fall short of societal benchmarks of success. In this context, labeling those who struggle as losers serves only to compound their challenges with judgment and blame. This harsh classification into winners and losers overlooks the complex interplay of factors that determine one's path. It fails to acknowledge that success is often as much about luck and the starting point as it is about effort and skill. More importantly, it fosters a toxic social environment where those deemed unsuccessful by conventional standards are not only overlooked, but actively disparaged. A more compassionate and realistic view would recognize that everyone is doing their best with the cards they're dealt and would emphasize support and understanding over judgment and scorn. This perspective is essential for building a more inclusive and empathetic society that values individuals not just for their achievements, but for their inherent human worth. Arthur Schopenhauer's insights into the nature of human happiness and the impact of societal opinions highlight a profound contradiction in our social fabric. While he believed that other people's opinions should not dictate our happiness, he recognized that we are deeply affected by how others perceive us. This dichotomy is especially relevant in the context of being labeled a loser, a term that can significantly impact an individual due to its potent societal devaluation. The label of loser is often a reflection more of societal norms and biases than of any objective measure of a person's value or well-being. As Schopenhauer pointed out, our contentment should ideally be independent of external opinions. Yet, in practice, the fear of social stigma can have a profound psychological impact. Being considered a loser doesn't necessarily correlate with one's mental or physical health, nor does it accurately reflect whether one's basic needs are being met. It is entirely possible to lead a fulfilling life, rich with personal satisfaction, while being viewed unfavorably in certain social circles. Furthermore, the criteria for being considered a loser can vary dramatically between different communities or social segments. In some circles, homelessness might brand someone a loser, while in others, the inability to afford luxury travel might earn the same label. In yet another community, remaining unmarried might be seen as a sign of failure. These examples illustrate that the notion of being a loser is not only highly subjective, but also deeply rooted in specific cultural or societal standards that may have little bearing on an individual's actual quality of life. This understanding can liberate us from the shackles of public opinion and encourage a more nuanced approach to how we view ourselves and others. Recognizing the subjectivity of such labels allows us to focus more on personal well-being and less on conforming to arbitrary societal expectations. Arthur Schopenhauer's perspective, as echoed in his reflections on human consciousness and the opinions of others, underscores a fundamental Stoic principle. The only thing truly within our control is our own thoughts and actions, not the perceptions or judgments of others. Schopenhauer's critique reveals his view of the often superficial, narrow-minded, and erroneous nature of public opinion. He points out that the sentiments expressed by others are frequently shaped by their personal biases and limitations, and that behind closed doors, individuals may speak disparagingly without fear of reprisal. This understanding can serve as a powerful tool for emotional resilience. By internalizing Schopenhauer's insights, we can cultivate a sense of detachment from the judgments of others. The realization that many opinions are based more on the speaker's own prejudices and errors rather than on factual assessments of others can help reduce the emotional weight these opinions carry. Applying Schopenhauer's philosophy to the concept of being labeled a loser, we see that such labels reflect more about the issuer than the recipient. The derogatory use of loser often says little about the actual qualities or the worth of the person being labeled, and more about the insecurities or the cultural biases of those who use the term. This perspective not only challenges us to reassess how much importance we give to others' opinions, but also encourages us to uphold our own values and self-perception above external judgments. Embracing this view can lead to greater personal freedom and self-confidence, fostering an environment where we live according to our own standards and values, rather than being unduly influenced by the often misguided views of others. From Schopenhauer's philosophical perspective in The Wisdom of Life, he draws a critical distinction between the essence of an individual and how that individual is perceived by others. This differentiation is crucial in understanding how to be what might be termed a happy loser. The key to Schopenhauer's concept lies in recognizing that societal labels do not inherently align with personal truth. Being seen as a loser by society does not intrinsically signal a flaw within oneself, just as being regarded as a winner doesn't necessarily confirm one's virtues. The societal labels are more reflections of external values and judgments rather than internal qualities. To be a happy loser, then, means to find contentment and peace within oneself regardless of societal labels. If society labels you a loser, yet you find joy in your life and fulfillment in your pursuits, you embody the idea of a happy loser. This state doesn't automatically classify someone as morally virtuous. It simply signifies that their happiness does not depend on societal approval. This concept encourages a deep personal freedom, suggesting that true happiness and self-worth are cultivated internally and are not contingent upon external validation. It also invites individuals to examine their lives critically. If one is unhappy and their actions are harmful or destructive, societal labels might reflect areas needing attention and change. However, if one is content and thriving by their own standards, external labels of loser lose their sting. In essence, embracing the role of a happy loser is about maintaining self-awareness and personal integrity, ensuring that your life's fulfillment comes from your values and satisfaction, rather than the fleeting and often shallow judgments of society. This approach fosters resilience, authenticity, and ultimately a deeper, more sustainable form of happiness. Schopenhauer's observation about the significant weight people place on public perception is a poignant reflection on human nature. Despite an internal sense of satisfaction or contentment, the negative views others may hold can profoundly impact one's happiness. This dichotomy highlights a crucial struggle many face: the challenge of reconciling personal fulfillment with societal judgment. Schopenhauer argues that the preoccupation with how others perceive us is a form of weakness, a vulnerability that can dilute our authentic experiences and self-esteem. He advocates for a robust detachment from the opinions of others, suggesting that true well-being is derived from an internal evaluation rather than external validation. This philosophy invites individuals to cultivate a sense of self that is independent of societal feedback, focusing on personal values and intrinsic happiness. The difference between a happy and unhappy loser, according to this perspective, often boils down to the degree of importance one assigns to public opinion. If one can minimize the impact that the perceptions of others have on their self-worth, they can maintain their happiness even in the face of negative labels. This requires a strong sense of self and often a deliberate shift in mindset, a move towards what the Stoics call inner citadel, a fortress of personal integrity and peace that remains unaffected by external chaos and judgment. Embracing Schopenhauer's view could lead to a more liberated existence, where individuals feel less compelled to conform to external expectations and more empowered to live in a way that truly satisfies them, irrespective of societal labels. This approach not only enhances personal happiness, but also contributes to a more authentic and fulfilling life. Indeed, the societal label of loser can be profoundly misjudged and damaging, reflecting a misunderstanding of human fate and the uncontrollable aspects of life. This label often arises from a simplistic view that individuals are wholly responsible for their circumstances, ignoring the significant role that luck and external factors play in shaping one's life trajectory. Schopenhauer's philosophy offers a valuable counterpoint to this societal inclination to judge and categorize. He suggests that the opinions and sentiments of others, often rooted in narrow-mindedness and a lack of understanding, should not hold significant weight in our self-assessment or affect our emotional well-being. This perspective is not just an abstract ideal, but a practical approach to living more freely and authentically, unencumbered by the burden of societal expectations. When faced with unfortunate circumstances, we indeed retain the power of choice, not over the circumstances themselves, but over our response to them. Embracing this choice allows us to make the best of our situations, irrespective of how society might judge our success or failure. If society continues to perceive someone as a loser despite their best efforts, that perception says more about societal values and judgments than about the individual's worth or character. The decision to detach from society's opinion, as Schopenhauer advocates, liberates us. When we diminish the importance we place on public perception, labels like loser lose their sting. This does not mean ignoring feedback or existing in social isolation, but rather distinguishing between constructive criticism and baseless judgment. By focusing on personal values, goals, and contentment, we can live lives that are fulfilling and self-defined, making the term loser not just irrelevant, but powerless. Absolutely, the core of a fulfilling life often lies in defining success and contentment on our own terms. A happy loser, in the context we've discussed, embraces this philosophy wholeheartedly. Such an individual doesn't let societal labels dictate their self-worth or happiness. Instead, they find strength and satisfaction in living according to their values and principles, even if that means accepting an outsider status or facing societal judgment. This approach to life isn't just about ignoring what others think. It's about actively choosing a path that aligns with one's own understanding of what it means to live well, despite the unpredictable nature of fortune. By doing so, one asserts control over the only aspect of life that is truly ours to govern, our response to the world around us. Thank you for engaging with this exploration of what it means to be a happy loser and how this concept challenges conventional views on success and failure. May this discussion inspire you to reflect on your values and encourage a life lived true to oneself, regardless of external labels or judgments. If you find this video interesting, please click the like button, subscribe to the channel to stay with us and support us on the path of sharing valuable and useful knowledge.